रोने की वजह न थी, न हंसने का बहाना था। क्यों हो गए हम इतने बड़े, इससे अच्छा तो वो बचपन का जमाना था। Childhood is actually a bliss. So today I welcome you all to our episode on Pyarapedia. The innocent smile of a child or a crisp light reflects right in the center of pupil. What is it that gives you an adrenaline rush and keeps you plugged in pediatric ophthalmology? Yes, Dr. Sharma.
Yeah, as rightly said, the innocent smile of the child is the best reward that stimulates us, shoots us the hormones which are like serotonin and dopamine, the happiness hormones as you may say, that give you a kick. And strabismus, pediatric ophthalmology, neuro-ophthalmology are considered as an outer segment. But I would say rather than standing out, it is an outstanding thing. We are all like the shining stars in a dark night to bring light to the children. Nirant nisha mein nab ke tare hum. So when I got the recognition by APOS and the NAP Memorial Lecture, it was a great reward. It was something which I thought is being compensating for all the troubles that we have had. It was the first time that any Asian or a non-white had been awarded with this honor. So that really stimulated me to keep going. And now when I see you young pediatric ophthalmologist enthusiasts who are getting rewarded internationally, I feel a part of me in you and also feel overjoyed with this. It is time that we all love this specialty, and if we love to work, all the drudgery becomes acceptable. It is true that nothing comes easy and nothing comes straight. But when it comes finally to you, you realize it was worth the wait. So it was a great pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Let's hear from Dr. K. Kunya.
I would say personally I have three things which keeps me going on and on. Number one, and the topmost thing is the patient care, the children you take care, and the smile, what you see in patients' face, and of course the parents' face once you treat them. That's the most important thing which keeps you going on and on. Second thing is we are able to contribute to education in terms of training fellows of the future generation and also residency program. When you teach someone the skills and when they grow further, you're always very, very proud about these situations. That's the second part. And the third part is the research. Through research, you contribute to the patient care and other aspect of care and advocacy of child's eye health to others, either nationally or internationally. So I would say the patient care, the education you give to others, and the contribution you give in research keeps you go on and on.
Thank you, sir. What about you, Dr. Siddharth?
Yes, that rush of adrenaline is there in pediatric ophthalmology because it's a new day every day. It's not the routine stuff that you do day in, day out. Every day you get a challenging case. Every day you get a challenging kid. And to try and it's almost like trying to solve a puzzle. And if you put the pieces of the puzzles together, that kind of excitement and sense of satisfaction comes. Main driving force is that I know that I am fulfilling a need of the society. I know that there is a big gap between the demand in pediatric ophthalmology and the supply. So that keeps me going because I am fulfilling a demand and I am being an asset to the society. I am not a liability. I am not trying to thrust myself on the society. I am just fulfilling its need, and society has been kind to me and they have responded very well. I think that's what keeps me going is the conviction that I can continue as what I am doing, try to improve every day and try to learn new things every day and try to solve new puzzles every day, thereby fulfilling a felt need in the society. That's what keeps me going. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Sunita Agarkar, could you please share your views?
I'll just show you two drawings which were presented to me by two of my patients. Now these two are twins and were born too soon, They were both born premature. This child, although born premature, has done relatively well with the vision. He has good vision, no morbidities associated with prematurity, and has not required anything except a pair of glasses. But contrary to this child, between me and vitreoretinal surgeon, we have done 6 surgeries. He still has very anatomically distorted retina. His vision is relatively much poorer compared to his twin brother. But if we had not done whatever we did under very, very difficult circumstances in a very, very low birth weight, premature child, between me and my teammate who is a vitreoretinal surgeon, this child would not have had the vision to make this for me. And this is nothing. Does not have any money in it. This does not have any story in it. But I know if me and Dr. Bhende, who did his initial surgeries for Arupi, were not there in his life, this was not possible. So yes, elephant is blue, and you can see compared to his twin, his lines are all blurred, distorted, but he knows it's an elephant, and I know it's an elephant. And I think that's where the satisfaction, and that's where the satisfaction of making a difference to someone's life comes in.
Thank you, ma'am. Can we have your views on this, sir?
I think one of the most important characteristics of strabismus and pediatric ophthalmology is the word logic. The simplicity of the branch and the simple logic behind all the things. You don't really need a very high-tech explanation for why things are like this. You just need a simple logic on eye movements. You need a simple logic. The sheer brilliance of the branch lies in the logic of it. Everything is very logical. You can see it and you can prove it that this happens because of this. And obviously the high which you get is that every case is different. It's not, so with due respect to other branches, every case in pediatric ophthalmology is unique. Every strabismus is different. For me, doing something new, changing the things as they are, makes a real difference. I personally believe that pediatric ophthalmology and strabismus in a way has changed my life because it has completed me as a person. The challenge of dealing with children, the whole challenge of the child not allowing you to do it and yet you can do it, makes the branch very interesting. I think the simple challenge of being able to examine verbal and pre-verbal children when they are not able to tell you, when parents are just telling you few symptoms and you are able to find out what exactly patient is having. When a child comes to you with a head tilt and child is 1 year and you can tell that child has supraoblique palsy, it makes your day.
Thank you, sir. I think I am tongue-tied and speechless. There are no words to express these emotions of satisfaction and contentment. Let's rush on to our next question. कहते हैं मुश्किलों से भाग जाना आसान होता है, जिंदगी का हर पहलू इम्तिहान होता है, डरने वाले को मिलता नहीं कुछ जिंदगी में, लड़ने वालों के कदमों में जहान होता है. Yes, challenges are a part and parcel of every bright career. Could you please share with us your key challenges and how did you overcome them? Can we have your views on this, sir?
I did my fellowship from Aravind Eye Hospital, Madurai. You have a lot of patients, everything is good. So when you come back from that dreamland, I think challenges are plenty, especially if you are, especially you are the first pediatric ophthalmologist of the state. There is bound to be, first of all, there is lack of acceptance. First of all, what happens is that nobody wants to accept. So that is a denial mode. Nobody wants to actually believe that there is a pediatric ophthalmology is a branch. So I think I would like to quote from Dr. Marshall Park's foreword in Kenneth Wright, where he rightly says that years back, even the branch of pediatrics was not taken seriously, and physicians used to feel that child is just a small adult. And I think that is wonderfully written by Dr. Marshall Park, he being the father of pediatric ophthalmology. I believe that sums up everything all the struggles that a pediatric ophthalmologist has to go. I would just narrate a small incident. When I came back, when I came back from my fellowship and I was supposed to meet people, look around the jobs and who can absorb me as a pediatric ophthalmologist, and I met a senior ophthalmologist, and he told me, this was sort of an interview which was going on, and he told me that, अच्छा आप pediatric ophthalmology में क्या क्या कर लेते हैं, sort of the way that what all you can do, and it is more like an interview. You are going for a matrimony and somebody is asking you, अच्छा आप खाना वाना भी बना लेते हैं. So that kind of interview goes on and they are not really ready to believe. The whole point is that you have to stick to the goal, do your job, patients will come, but you have to be patient. You have to be patient for the patients to come to you. So you cannot do it in a short time. You are there in here for a long haul. I think what I did was I kept on doing good work and I got recognized in the end. So I think perseverance and patience is the key when it comes to facing the challenges of pediatric ophthalmology.
Thank you, sir. Let's hear from Dr. K. Kunya.
Okay, challenges will be there in any kind of profession or job you take. In the initial part, I had the big challenge after residency, doing another fellowship, that too 3 years. Everyone raises their eyebrows. 3 years I going to go into fellowship rather than jumping into private practice and earn money. Because during fellowship you're not earning so much, and your friends and some of the family members, everyone can question you, what's happening, are you not going into practice? This was the initial part of the challenge, I would say. But my family, my parents were very, very supportive, and I could complete the fellowship, and in retrospect, that was a blessing in disguise for me. Spending that 3 additional years after residency was a very good foundation for my career in the future. Once I completed, I did not have much exposure to research, I would say. That was challenging in the initial part, and then later I could take people's help and other friends' help, and I could overcome that initial inertia of writing papers. That became better and better over a period of time.
Thank you, sir. Let's come to Dr. Siddharth.
Yes, challenges. Of course, in any journey there are challenges, and you should expect challenges. Whatever you do, it may be a proven thing, it may be a thing which is not yet proven. Still, you are going to face very unique problems that are very unique to your own situation. Each of us comes from a different background with a different kind of backup. Some people are from medical families. I am not from a medical family, so I had a different set of challenges, because establishing yourself in the medical fraternity, trying to get a name for yourself is quite challenging if you don't have any backup, if you don't know anybody in the field. But I was very fortunate to meet very good people along the way. I was very lucky to get a break as a consultant in LV Prasad after my fellowship, and I worked there for quite a few years, and that experience helped me a lot in my future endeavor. The biggest challenge was when I decided to leave job as a consultant in a very good institute and try to go on my own. That was a big decision in my life, but I said, why not give it a shot and try to establish this field of pediatric ophthalmology in private practice. At that time, this hypothesis was not proven whether pediatric ophthalmology as a standalone branch is viable in private practice or not. And whomever I spoke to, everybody had a word of caution for me that, if you go into pediatric ophthalmology and give up adult cataract or adult practice altogether, it will be very difficult for you to sustain as an ophthalmologist. But I just went by my instinct and my gut feeling, and decided to go ahead and practice what I had learned and experienced in so many days. Now, my only belief was that if there is a lacunae in the population, and if there is a demand for something, and if you are able to fulfill that demand in a in a proper way and good quality service, then of course the society is going to accept you. And that is how probably I overcame the challenge just by believing in whatever I wanted to do. There is no recipe for success or you just take things as they come. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. It's your turn, Dr. Agarkar.
Has it been a smooth journey in these 20 years? No. I have missed cases. I have had complications. I have had problems in diagnosing and treating children. But important thing is that each time you make a mistake, you should probably go back to the academics, go back to the books, should have no ego to seek a second opinion, should have no ego to involve another team member in the care of a children, in the care of any patient for that matter. Forget about children, but these are probably the best way to overcome. It is impossible to know everything about every subject which you need or every problem which may come to you in your clinical setting. But it is important to know when you have done the best you have and when to seek help if required. I think that is an important thing which everybody should carry within themselves.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Dr. Sharma.
Yeah, that's right. Nothing comes easy, nothing comes straight. I recollect when I was awarded the ISA fellowship by the International Strabismological Association, it bypassed the government and the system, and they did not take it lightly. So they tried to put all the hurdles in my way, even to the extent that they denied me my earned leaves to use for going. Had it been through them, I would have been offered academic leave, which would have been over and above those leaves. But since it wasn't through their system, they said I wouldn't be able to go. I had to read Swami's book on my own and then take photocopies and show to the administration that this is my due and they cannot deny me. And that's how I could go to the ISA fellowship. And being there, I found the things were tough. I had to arrange my own finances. But the final thing was that I learned a lot in that fellowship in 2001. I was in 3 places. It was UCLA Jules Stein Eye Institute, Wills Eye Hospital in Philadelphia, and Richmond Eye and Ear Infirmary. And working with Dr. Rosenbaum, Dr. Eisenberg, Dr. Deemer, Dr. Nelson, Calhoun, it was Dr. Aniki, it was a great pleasure. In fact, I realized that the practice of pediatric ophthalmology in US was so much different. There were 3 schools at that time of Dr. Jampolsky, Dr. Von Nuden and Dr. Marshall Parks, which I could see being played by the 3 people, Rosenbaum, Deemer and Eisenberg. And I tried to amalgamate all these 3 into one and tried to bring it when I was in my practice here in India.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. So our angels are great fighters too. And लड़ने वालों के तो कदमों में जहान होता है. Up till now, we've got a decent glimpse into the lives of our angels. Before we wind up, let's hear from our angels the precious piece of advice for the postgraduates aspiring to pursue pediatric ophthalmology.
My advice to the young postgraduates who clearly want to do pediatric ophthalmic strabismus is that you just have to ask yourself in your heart what branch you want to pursue. I do have fellows, and in my interview I don't ask any other question except 2 things. One, why do you want to do pediatric ophthalm? And second, once you learn pediatric ophthalm and strabismus from me, are you going to practice this branch or not? So I think I would like to quote Steve Jobs, his famous graduation speech, where he said, he concluded by saying, stay hungry, stay foolish. I think this sums up the whole essence of what exactly we are doing in pediatric ophthalm. Every day we learn new things, and every day we do things which are new, and then we try to find out what is going on. So remaining foolish is very important. Remaining hungry for betterment of patients is very important. So my point is that you should not just think of whether you are good with kids or not. If you have commitment towards pediatric ophthalmic strabismus, you are bound to be good with children. That is not a problem. The point is you have to think what you want to do. If you think that you want to do one of the best branches, you take pediatric ophthalm. If you think in general terms, any surgery or any difference that you make in a child's life does give you more satisfaction. It is bound to give you much more satisfaction compared to when you do it for adults.
Yeah, I used to say that pediatric ophthalmology and strabismus are like a Cinderella specialty. It's the Cinderella which is waiting for a Prince Charming, and you are that Prince Charming if you take up this specialty. This is something which you'll see, that the children are the people whom you are working for. Pediatric ophthalmology and strabismus is one specialty in which you require minimum investment in the form of instrumentations, but maximum involvement in the form of you as a personality. You have to be equipped. The pediatric ophthalmology requires the environment to be child friendly, and remember, you are the main component of that pediatric environment which will make it child friendly. So if you love this specialty, if you have the child in you alive, if you love fun and music, this is really the specialty for you. If you believe in God, then you should realize that children are the freshest messengers or ambassadors of God, or the incarnations of God. So when we are serving children, we are actually serving God in His purest form. It has been a great pleasure working in pediatric ophthalmology and strabismus. I usually say it is not that S for squint, but S now stands for strabismus, sight, stereopsis and smiles. You will all be a part of this great mission, and I would like you to join me and the others who are working in this specialty. We together will ensure to do spreading sight and happiness for kids the world across, maintaining the stereopsis and restoring the loss. I wish you all a great career in pediatric ophthalmology and strabismus, which is something which you will all love and you will prosper. Thank you. For the sake of all children, I would like you to be joining this great specialty.
Those of you young people who want to do pediatric ophthalmology, only one piece of advice: do it if you really want to do it. Don't do it because it's new. Don't do pediatric ophthalmology because it is not that many pediatric ophthalmologists are there. Not because you love children. Love of children has nothing to do with pediatric ophthalmology. You should probably be willing to make a difference to somebody else's life, and you should be willing to put in more hours. Please believe me when I say this. You are going to spend more time, you are going to earn less, you are going to do fewer surgeries, but you are going to make much larger difference in man years or person years to somebody's life than any adult ophthalmologist can.
I always tell people who ask me advice is that always think 100 times before you get on top of a mountain, because there is no point in thinking after getting on the top of a mountain that you ended up climbing the wrong mountain. So choose the mountain that you want to climb right at the beginning, so that at the end of it gives you tremendous satisfaction and sense of fulfillment and achievement. There is no hurry to decide on your branch. I just suggest that you spend some time with a practicing pediatric ophthalmologist or a center which is catering to pediatric patients with eye problems. 10-15 days if you spend in that area, you will know how the life is, how the work culture is, what kind of patients you will deal day in, day out, what kind of parents are there, what kind of demands parents have, and then you decide whether you want to continue in this field. Just don't go by somebody else's success or somebody else's success story, because for everybody the journey is different. So my advice is choose wisely, take your time to choose, and once you have chosen it, don't think again. Just put your mind to it, apply your mind, be the best pediatric ophthalmologist that is out there, and nobody can stop you from succeeding.
I just have one piece of advice to all of you who would like to choose a career path. I would just say that ask yourself where you want to be after 5 or 10 years, in which field you want to be. If you want to make a difference in a child, and you want to continuously make a difference in child, because vision is the most important thing, and you need to focus, and you need to have patience, and you need to have goals how to make your life more impactful. With these things in mind, you can achieve anything. And if you like children, if you like to work with children, I think pediatric ophthalmology strabismus is a choice for you people. Thank you so much, everyone. All the very best to all of you.
So, to become an angel and make a child smile, you need to bring out that child within you and have a fun-filled learning every day. Thank you so much, dear angels. You gave us the opportunity to take a glimpse into your lives. With this, we come to an end of this episode of After Ophthal. Hope our lockdown period efforts will help you in dealing with after ophthal syndrome. Now, take a dive into your heart and see what your heart sync with. I, on behalf of LGR Institute and our whole After Ophthal team, thank you all for watching this series. Bye bye, take care and stay inspired.
You'll be surprised, nobody did that time indirect ophthalmoscopy ever in that state.
The two most important things or values to bear in mind are attitude and timing.
And the beauty of retina is that each case is different, and here is where retina differs from other specialties, that each and every case is challenging.
Need to have an objective assessment of your own results. It would help in improving yourself.
This was something I learnt from my day-to-day practice. So I think the urge to learn keeps me going.